Right now, inside a Microsoft research lab in Redmond, Washington, engineers are storing entire movies, full HD films, inside a substance smaller than a grain of sand. Not on a hard drive, not on a quantum chip, inside synthetic DNA. And in Santa Clara, Intel is building a chip that does not run on binary code. It does not process ones and zeros. Instead, it fires electrical pulses the exact same way your brain fires neurons. A chip modeled entirely on biological architecture. The entire semiconductor war, the US chip bans, the TSMC stranglehold, the China export controls, the $52 billion CHIPS Act, every single move in that geopolitical chess game was fought over silicon. But what happens when the most powerful nations on Earth realize that silicon is no longer the final frontier? What happens when the weapon of the next technology war is not a chip fabricated in a clean room in Taiwan, but a strand of DNA engineered in a laboratory? That is not science fiction. That is the technology arms race that is already happening right now, in 2025, and almost nobody outside of defense contractors and intelligence agencies is talking about it. Welcome back to Silicon Siege. I'm going to show you exactly why the race to control biological computing, what I'm calling geopolitical bio-supremacy, is the single most important technological shift happening on the planet right now, and why the country that wins this race will not just dominate artificial intelligence. They will control the infrastructure of human civilization for the next 100 years. If you are new to this channel, Silicon Siege covers the invisible war being fought over the technology that runs our world. Semiconductors, AI hardware, supply chains, and the geopolitical power moves happening underneath the headlines. Everything we cover here is sourced, verifiable, and usually about 5 years ahead of what mainstream media is willing to say out loud. This is episode 1 of our new sub-series, Geopolitical Bio-Supremacy. Over the next 10 episodes, we are going to map out how biological materials are entering the chip supply chain, how synthetic DNA is threatening to make flash storage obsolete, how brain-inspired neuromorphic chips are being fast-tracked by the US Department of Defense, and how China's biotechnology moonshot could outmaneuver every semiconductor sanction Washington has thrown at Beijing. Stay with me. This episode is a bridge between everything we've already covered, the Silicon Siege thesis, and the frontier that is coming faster than anyone is prepared for. Before we go deep on biological computing, let me give you the 30-second version of the Silicon Siege thesis for anyone who is joining us for the first time, because this matters for everything that follows. The global economy runs on semiconductors. Every smartphone, every data center, every AI model, every weapons guidance system, every electric vehicle battery management system, they all depend on chips. And those chips depend on a supply chain so geographically concentrated, so technically complex, and so difficult to replicate that it represents the single greatest strategic choke point in modern history. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, fabricates approximately 92% of the world's most advanced chips. One company, one island, sitting 100 miles off the coast of mainland China. The United States recognized this vulnerability and began weaponizing it. The Biden administration's chip export controls in October 2022 were the most aggressive technology sanctions in modern history, blocking China from accessing not just advanced chips, but the machinery, the software, and the talent required to make them. The goal was simple: freeze China's AI development by starving it of computational hardware. China's response has been to pour over $150 billion into domestic semiconductor development, with SMIC, Huawei Silicon, and dozens of state-backed foundries racing to close the gap. This is the Silicon Siege, the battle for control of the physical hardware layer that powers artificial intelligence and 21st-century military capability. Now here is where it gets genuinely important, and where most analysts are getting it completely wrong. Everyone is fighting the last war. The United States is fighting to control silicon fabrication. China is fighting to build silicon fabrication capacity. Both sides are treating the semiconductor as the ultimate prize. But a growing number of researchers, DARPA program directors, and synthetic biology companies are operating on a fundamentally different assumption: that silicon, as a computing substrate, is approaching its physical limits, and that biological materials represent the next exponential leap in computational power. This is not a distant prediction. The data is already here. Microsoft's Project Silica and the DNA storage research coming out of their Azure team have demonstrated that a single gram of synthetic DNA can store approximately 215 petabytes of data. For context, 215 petabytes is roughly equivalent to the entire Netflix streaming library duplicated over 700 times. The density advantage over conventional flash storage or even next-generation solid-state drives is not incremental, it is several orders of magnitude. And unlike silicon-based storage, which degrades over years and requires constant power to maintain, DNA is stable for tens of thousands of years under the right conditions. The University of Washington, working in partnership with Microsoft, has already demonstrated fully automated DNA data storage and retrieval systems, meaning the read/write bottleneck that made this technology impractical 5 years ago is actively being solved right now. But storage is only half the equation. The other half is processing. Intel's Neuromorphic computing division has spent the last decade developing what they call the Loihi chip, a processor that mimics the architecture of the human brain by using artificial neurons and synapses rather than traditional transistors. The Loihi 2, released in 2021, contains over 1 million programmable neurons and 100 million synaptic connections on a single chip. It consumes approximately 1,000 times less energy than a conventional GPU performing equivalent tasks. Why does that matter? Because the energy cost of artificial intelligence is becoming the primary barrier to AI scaling. Training a single large language model like GPT-4 consumed an estimated 50 gigawatt-hours of electricity, roughly the annual energy consumption of 5,000 American homes. Neuromorphic chips, by operating on biological principles rather than binary transistor switching, represent a potential solution to the AI energy crisis that silicon alone cannot solve. Neuromorphic chips still use silicon substrates. Biological computing, at this stage, does not replace silicon, it amplifies silicon by orders of magnitude. Think of it like this: the semiconductor was the foundation. Biological architecture is the next floor being built on top of that foundation. The country that controls biological computing infrastructure will not make silicon irrelevant, they will make their silicon work 1,000 times harder than any competitors. This is why the silicon siege thesis is not obsolete. It is evolving. Microsoft is storing data in synthetic DNA. Intel is building chips that fire like neurons. DARPA has over a dozen active programs treating biology as computational hardware. China has embedded synthetic biology in its national security strategy. And the regulatory framework that governs all of this is about 4 years behind the technology. This is Silicon Siege, Episode 1 of Geopolitical Bio-Supremacy. We have covered the foundation today: why biological materials are entering the chip supply chain, why neuromorphic computing represents the next exponential leap beyond silicon, and why the US-China technology war is about to acquire a biological dimension that semiconductor export controls were never designed to address. In Episode 2, we are going to go deep on the DNA data storage race specifically. I'm going to show you exactly how Microsoft, Twist Bioscience, and Catalog Technologies are competing for what could be a $300 billion storage market by 2040, and I'm going to show you the Chinese state-backed infrastructure that is quietly being positioned to compete in exactly the same space. If you think the memory chip war between Samsung, Micron, and Chinese foundries was intense, what is coming in biological storage makes that look like a disagreement between friendly neighbors. There is also something I have not told you yet about neuromorphic chips and their relationship to artificial general intelligence, the kind of AI that does not just predict text but reasons, plans, and adapts. The silicon-based GPU architecture that runs today's most powerful AI systems has a fundamental structural limitation that neuromorphic chips do not share. We are going to cover that in Episode 3. And when you understand it, the race to develop neuromorphic computing infrastructure will suddenly make a lot more sense as a strategic priority than it probably does right now. Before you leave, this channel runs on one thing, and it is not advertising. It is you deciding that this content is worth sharing. If this episode gave you a framework for understanding something that mainstream technology coverage is not explaining, send it to one person who needs to understand what is actually happening in the global technology race. That is how Silicon Siege grows. That is how we make sure the people making investment decisions, policy decisions, and career decisions have access to analysis that is ahead of the news cycle instead of behind it. Hit subscribe if you are not subscribed. The bell notification is not optional if you want to catch episode 2 the day it drops. YouTube's algorithm does not show new uploads to subscribers who have not enabled it, and this series moves fast. And drop one word in the comments that tells me what aspect of the biological computing revolution you want us to go deepest on. DNA storage. Neuromorphic chips. DARPA's bioprograms. China's BGI and synthetic biology infrastructure. The comment with the most replies is going to shape how we structure episodes 4 and 5. I will see you in episode 2. The Silicon Age is not over. But the age of bio-supremacy has already begun.